Hi, everyone. So for the past 4 years, I've been studying field ecology and natural history here at COA, and for my senior project, I did an ecological study of mammal populations on a small island known as Berrying Island up in Taunton Bay, Maine. My research on mammal populations on Maine islands began back in 2012 when I did my internship on Great Duck Island. For my internship on Great Duck, I designed a population survey of the snowshoe hare out there, as they hadn't been studied since their introduction to the island in the 1930s. As you can see in this picture on the bottom right, the forest structure on Great Duck is distinct in that it has very little understory. This is concerning because it's an old-growth spruce forest and doesn't seem to be regenerating. Part of what we think is going on is that the snowshoe hare are consuming the young spruce seedlings in the winter months, and therefore causing this lack of regeneration of the forest. And while this is concerning for the forest on Great Duck, it seems like it's really important for the population of Leach's storm petrels on the island, which are these seabirds that nest in burrows in the forest floor, because since there's a lack of understory, they have easy, clear paths to their nests. So I've been thinking a lot about these ecological dynamics on Great Duck, and was therefore really excited about the opportunity to do an ecological survey on Berrying Island, which is an island that has a native population of snowshoe hare and a very different forest structure. So the locations of both islands are highlighted here on the map. Berrying Island is about 1/7 the size of Great Duck and is only a kilometer from the mainland, whereas Great Duck is much farther offshore. So during the months of September and October of 2013, I was out on Berrying Island conducting a mammal survey as well as a survey of woody vegetation in order to assess the impacts that the mammals are having on the forest. This also meant living out on a secluded island for 2 months, which was amazing and an interesting learning experience in and of itself. So during my study, I was doing live mammal trapping and trapped both snowshoe hare and northern short-tailed shrews. And I also had various game camera traps that I set up around the island that revealed groups of northern river otter that frequented the island at night, which was super exciting. There were also signs of white-tailed deer, eastern cottontail rabbits, and moose on the island. As for my vegetation survey, I found that there are many small red spruce and balsam fir on Berrying Island that have been browsed by mammals, especially the snowshoe hare, but that regeneration of the forest on Berrying Island is not being suppressed like it is on Great Duck. Most of the browsed trees on Berrying Island continue to grow, and as you can see in this bottom picture, there are many different age classes of trees in the forest on Berrying Island. This is a map of herbivory pressure that I created in the GIS lab here at COA based on the data I collected in my vegetation plots across the island. So I was looking at how many trees within my plots had been browsed by mammals. So the darker green areas are areas of higher herbivory pressure. So you can see that herbivory pressure differs significantly across the island. So part of my study was looking at various factors as to why these differences might be occurring. And what I found was that the best predictor of herbivory pressure is simply how many small red spruce and balsam fir are present in an area, since this is what the hare seem to be preferring in terms of a food source. But I also found that land use and geography also play a significant impact in where herbivory pressure is highest. So why are these islands so different? To get back to the question of why Great Duck seems to be so heavily impacted by herbivores, I think it is still a complicated question that is not fully answered, but my study on Berrying Island has helped us to realize that the problems we're seeing on Great Duck have a lot to do with land use and the introduction of herbivores. While herbivore populations on Berrying Island can immigrate and emigrate from the island because of its close proximity to the mainland, those on Great Duck are essentially stuck and aren't able to leave the island in search of alternate food sources. I believe that ecological studies like this are incredibly important in terms of collecting baseline data and informing conservation and management decisions. Great Duck is an example of an island where conservation decisions are being discussed in terms of preserving the forest, and it is really important for us to understand the complete ecology of the landscape before making these decisions so as not to negatively impact other aspects of the ecosystem, like the Leach's storm petrels. My study on Bering Island provides an important comparison to great duck and sheds light on the ecosystem dynamics related to herbivory and introduced versus natural populations of herbivores. This project was really fun, challenging, and rewarding, and I am really looking forward to applying the ecological perspectives I've gained during the study to my graduate work at Yale, where I'll be working with lemurs and conservation in Madagascar. Thank you to everyone who made this project possible.